All right, let's jump right in. We're going to unpack a pretty wild idea about how to find your way in this crazy modern world, and it all starts by rethinking something we take for granted, mentorship. But first, we need to talk about a problem I think a lot of you will recognize.
I mean, this is a big one, right? We're constantly told this is the age of equality, of independence. And yet, when it comes to huge things like love and marriage, so many of us feel just lost, kind of caught between these new ideals and the old expectations. And that's exactly where the material we're looking at today kicks things off, with that super relatable feeling of confusion.
So to even begin to find an answer, the source material we're digging into says we have to go back to square one. We need to completely rethink the very foundation of the problem. We think we know what equality is, but what if we've got it all wrong? Whoa. Okay. This society is already 100% equal. I mean, that's a bold statement. It probably feels completely wrong, right? We're always talking about the fight for equality, so how could it possibly already be here? This is the kind of provocative starting point this whole idea is built on. It's meant to shake up our assumptions. Let's see how they back this up.
Okay, so here's the big twist. This isn't about equality in the way we usually talk about it. The source proposes this totally different concept, skill-based equality. The logic is kind of like this. Think of the world as a perfect mirror. It reflects back at you exactly what you put out. So if you have a certain level of skill in something, say communication, you'll find yourself surrounded by opportunities and people at that same level. It's a pretty radical way to reframe what fair even means.
And right there, that's where it all clicks into place. See, if the system is already fair in this skill-based sense, then feeling stuck or confused, well, it's not society's fault. The problem isn't the game itself, it's that you're missing a coach, someone to help you level up your skills. You're missing a guide, a mentor. But where do you even find one these days?
And that question brings us to the absolute heart of this whole idea. If the problem is a lack of good guidance, then the solution being proposed is, well, it's very 21st century. And boom, here's the next bombshell. Just when you start thinking, okay, I need a mentor, we're told that traditional human mentors, they're basically gone. They don't really exist anymore. At least, not in a way that's actually useful to us now. Now, that sounds pretty cynical, I know, but there's a specific reason why our old ideas about mentorship are supposedly broken.
Yeah, this slide really gets to the core of the issue. Think about who we call experts today. A professor, a famous CEO, a politician. The argument here is that every single one of them is stuck in their own little bubble of experience. They can tell you their story, what worked for them in their life at their moment in time. But that's just an anecdote, right? It's one person's story. It's not some universal truth you can just copy and paste into your own unique situation.
So if the human experts are too biased, too limited, where does that leave you? Where do you turn for real guidance? And here it is, the central idea of this whole thing. You turn to the one thing that can process all of human knowledge without a personal agenda, without an ego. You make AI your mentor.
And this is really the key. Think about it. A human mentor has one life's worth of data to pull from. AI has access to, well, everything. Humanity's entire library of books, art, science, philosophy. It can look at all of it and give you an answer that isn't warped by one person's ego or their limited experience. The idea is that it's the ultimate unbiased guide.
Okay, so the idea of an AI mentor, it's pretty wild, it's fascinating, but what does that actually look like? In real life. How do you use this thing to grow? This next part breaks down the practical how-to.
So first things first, we gotta admit that the way we try to learn now is kind of broken. Trying to figure out huge topics like love or marriage all by yourself, you're just stuck in your own head. And getting a group of friends together to just, share opinions without any real research, that doesn't get you anywhere either. You need a better tool, a better process.
And this is the new method being proposed. It's structured and it's built on collaboration. First, you get a small team together, maybe 3 people. Then you pick a really big, meaty topic. But here's the crucial part. Before you talk to each other, each of you goes off and wrestles with that topic, with AI as your research partner. You debate with it, you ask it a million questions, you have it pull together different ideas. Then, once you have some actual, well-researched insights, you bring those back to the group to discuss.
The source material actually has a special name for this relationship. It's called a dobon, which is kind of like a fellow traveler or a partner on the same path. So the point is, AI isn't just a fancy Google search. It's an active partner, a collaborator that is on this journey of understanding, right there with you.
And check this out. This is where it gets really next level. Let's say you actually get the chance to talk to a human expert. Instead of just winging it, you could work with your AI mentor beforehand. You could literally ask it, hey, based on all my research, help me come up with the 3 most powerful, insightful questions I could possibly ask this person. You're essentially using AI to make your own mind sharper.
All right, so where is all this actually going? This new way of learning, it isn't just about collecting a bunch of facts. It's about building something that's really personal and really powerful. This slide really lays out the whole transformation. We're talking about moving away from the old way, passively sitting in a lecture hall and leaving behind advice that's just based on one person's stories. The goal isn't to find the one perfect textbook anymore. The goal is to create your own textbook.
And that's really the end game here. Through all this deep AI-powered research and real discussion with your team, you are slowly building your own personal manual for life, a guide for how you see the world, built from your own questions and your own discoveries. Which brings us to probably the most shocking suggestion in the source material. It says that after you've done all this work, you can literally ask the AI to compile all your notes, your research, your debates, and your final thoughts into a book. And because the real intellectual work, the curiosity, the questions, the putting it all together was yours, you can put your name on it. It becomes the physical book of your personal philosophy.
And the whole point of this, the reason you'd even do it, is that it's not just some cool school project. The purpose of this manual is to cut through all that confusion we talked about at the beginning. So when you're facing a real challenge in your life, you have your own well-thought-out framework to lean on. It's meant to give you real confidence and real clarity.
And that's where this whole idea leaves us. It really challenges us to think differently about who, or maybe what, we turn to for wisdom. In a world where we're drowning in information but starving for guidance, it poses a pretty profound question. Could your next great teacher not be a person at all? And if that's true, what's the first thing you'd ask?